Hi, I'm Danica. You're watching Danica the Artist. If you're a griever or just feeling stuck, this beginner art activity is just for you.
So today we're going to talk about the seasons. You know that a natural year has seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. Well, so does a human life. Often we try to embrace the spring and the summer, the exciting and more beautiful. And fall and winter are only glorified for certain parts, like the holidays, the happy parts. Well, we need to start to embrace a fuller picture of the human life by accepting each season for how it is, the distinct beauty available in each one, and the unique opportunities for growth and for rest in a cycle that never ends. If you think of a plant that comes back year after year, each season has a particular purpose in the life of that plant. If you think of spring, it's to blossom and form a big enough blossom so that once the flower is gone, the seed can survive the summer. And the summer needs to provide all of the nutrients necessary through rain and sunshine and warmth for that fruit to become mature. And once fall comes, the frost needs to come just at the right time so that that fruit is preserved beforehand and that it can be used for the next harvest. Harvest is a time of shedding off the previous year's growth to make way for a season of rest where that plant can recover during the winter. Hibernation happens in the roots and in the plant itself, and it's a time of rest waiting for the season, the right conditions for the plant to start over again in a new growth, in a new season, circle of life. I myself love spring. I think that it's the most beautiful thing that ever happened on earth. I live in the Northwest, and once the spring comes, it's abundant with flowers over here. There's many days of rain, but once that sunshine comes out in the spring and the flowers start to bloom, it's incredible. Tulips, daisies, daffodils, and first snowdrops, and then later on the summer produces roses, all kinds of beauty all over the place. And the trees go through their own cycle as well. I love the spring, and I think for that, winter is really hard to wait through. Oftentimes here on the east side of Washington State, it feels like winter lasts forever. Right now I'm in a season of life that is telling me that as well. I've lost so many things recently this year that I feel like all that's left is a dead tree. I long for the fruit and the blossoms of spring and summer. And when I look at my tree, my life, I get so depressed. I want spring to come so desperately, and I'm ready for winter to finish. And sometimes on these cold winter days in my heart, I wonder if it ever will. What I'm learning right now is to embrace the season that I'm in, to embrace winter. You know how when the snow falls, it creates a beautiful white blanket. It seems like everything is spoken in whispers, and that you can just stay at home and look out the window for hours and hours, enjoying how the landscape changes and everything's transformed. And suddenly there's a new peace in the light. I love that about winter, and I'm trying to focus on that right now in my time. That this divine season of rest is given me so that I can sit and contemplate what has happened in the past and begin to regain strength for the spring to come. I made a painting called Rooted in Love. I was showing a picture of it on my phone to a friend of mine, and she said, "Ooh, I love it." And she zoomed in, but not where I thought she would zoom in, to the focal point of the piece. She zoomed in to the area of the dirt around where the tree roots were happening and where the heart was. But even off of the heart, she was looking at the dirt places. She said, "Isn't it so cool how all the beauty is in the hidden places?" I have no idea where she was coming from in that, but it was such a profound statement that she was making. She was pointing out that the hidden places where the growth is not evident per se and not celebrated are the most important places for growth. That the nutrients of the dirt and the darkness and the hiddenness is the environment, the precise environment that creates the bloom above ground that everyone loves. The darker seasons of fall and winter are less celebrated than spring and summer, simply because they're harder to embrace. They're celebrated because of the holidays that we find in them, but the season itself is cold and gray and often presents inconveniences to things we want to do. The darker seasons are less celebrated. They're times when we're more inside, more hidden, and they're times of introspection, less doing, more rest. I want us to embrace the darker seasons, the hidden places in our lives, and I want to give you a new perspective in this today. Today's activity, we're going to go through first a quick practice using a PDF that I made of a tree trunk. We'll talk about the seasons and the purpose of each one, and then I'm going to assign you to pick either fall or winter, the darker seasons of life, to meditate on in this own season of your life. We'll practice this coloring part, and then we'll move on to study it more in depth, the fall and the winter. I hope that you'll be able to embrace this season in your own life, to not despise it and to not want to run ahead, but to see the beauty, the uniqueness of where you are right now. Today we're going to study the life season that we feel like we're most a part of right now. For me, it's winter, and so I'll show you how to create a tree that reflects the season by using journaling underneath the layers and on top, and by painting the tree to reflect what is going on in that natural season. Embracing the natural season and the beauty that you find in it helps you embrace the season that you are in as well. I hope you find rest in winter and in the darker seasons of life. As we look around and see the barrenness, the death, and the cold, I hope you also see the beauty of the snow and the warmth inside and the people around you. Thank you for joining me in learning to embrace winter. And even though you might fight it and look forward to the spring, there is beauty here. Learn to embrace. Learn to rest. We're going to talk about the seasons and learn more from them by coloring and reflecting as we color. Coloring is a popular thing right now, so let's learn how to use it in a way that's helpful for our processing and reflectivity. So we'll go ahead and start. Print off this PDF from the website. This is a tree that I drew for us, printed on any printer paper that's regular. This is nothing special, it's more of a sketch or a practice for us. Today you can use any type of coloring implements. You can use markers, crayons, colored pencils. I personally really like to use watercolors when I'm doing a coloring sheet, so I'll use that as we talk today, but please feel free to use whatever you want. For watercolors, I use pad kind, and I have some water as well, also a paintbrush and paper towel. To start though, I'll use a pen to do some details. For this tree, we're going to make it into all the seasons. So if you imagine 4 quadrants going top to bottom, we're going to have spring up here, summer here, fall, and winter. There's an imaginary line dividing all of these. For here, we need a line that shows where the ground is, and this will help us imagine what might be in here. In spring, I'll draw here. There's this little bird's nest. One of my favorite parts of spring is all of those birds, all the song you get to hear. It's really fun. Give her some eggs. That's a fun thing about spring. And then maybe a little swing. That's a fun part. having little swings, and you can look up into the trees. Here's a swing. So let's start by coloring spring. I think in spring there's usually these beautiful light green colors like this. So I'll draw the leaves by just dabbing. You can see it's a really soft type of a green. And I'll fill in the in-between. I like that about watercolor, you can just kind of fill in the extra parts. There's probably some leaves hanging down here. When I'm in a spring type of life, it's kind of like I'm experiencing a lot of new growth. Like there's a lot of exciting things. Maybe they're just starting and I don't really know what they'll turn out to be yet. It's an exciting time. Sometimes there's rainstorms of things that don't make sense. Another thing I love about spring is the flowers that happen on top of the trees as they're blooming, starting to produce fruit. This is where the action all happens. So I'll draw some flowers just with the tip of my brush on these trees. Maybe you can draw some sort of fruit that comes. Draw cherries. This is the ground. You know, it can be like, oh, there's little flowers coming up just in the distance. Color my swing brown there. And then we need a brown nest. Little light blue eggs. That wasn't very light blue. There's light blue eggs and a light blue bird. And a light blue sky. I'll draw this, pretend that there's some white clouds here. I'll do that by outlining them. And then filling in with blue. I love that blue sky of spring. Like, finally, spring is here. Sometimes it feels like spring will never come. Spring's my favorite, but man, winter seems eternal sometimes. Let's move on to summer. So in summer, the green of the trees is slightly different. I'd say it's more dark. Trees might be more full. There's no flowers on them. Sometimes there's fruit, like apples in the late summer. You can draw apples in your tree if you want. One of my favorite parts about summer is the 4th of July. So I think I'll make my summer a night scene. I'll paint the sky dark. I'll put some fireworks in here. Let's see, there's definitely red, white, and blue, right? In America, we do that July 4th. It's a celebration. You're in the summertime of life, you're usually pretty busy. It's a time of energy, time of exuberance. Time of activity. Maybe sustained growth too. It's not as much unknowns, things like that. Maybe summer has a different connotation than happy though. It could be sweaty. Could be work if you had to work in the summers. Could be boredom. You know, all your friends are gone and you're like, no. Let's give our tree some color, the trunk. I like that. color all the way down. Let's say, so this is a cross section. We're looking underground here. So this brown I'll use slightly darker because this is an underground view. In summer, sometimes you can see there's the little holes in the tree that the animals live in. If you've seen an oak tree, there's a little opening. You can see sometimes there's a squirrel in it. We'll outline that. It's kind of fun. We'll give the tree some veins too. You can see the wood growing. The bark. Some texture. I'm just drawing onto the wet piece of paper. This is just a sketch, so it doesn't have to be anything too fancy. And extend some of the branches so you can see little twigs coming out. We'll highlight some of the leaves. You're like, yep, this is a leaf. Yep, that's a leaf too. Outline the tree leaves. It's kind of more of a shape to the tree. And I'll do that for the summer tree also. You can see it a little bit better. You can see the outline of the sky. And there's little patches that are highlighted in the tree. Ooh, I want hamburgers. I love that about summer. Maybe there's some stars. Because it's at night. Alright, let's move on to the darker seasons here. We got fall right here. So I'm going to draw a pile of leaves right here. Maybe some of these leaves, since they're headed towards the fall quadrant, they're starting to turn. I'll put a pumpkin right here. Love pumpkins in the fall. Some parts of fall are happy for me, like all the leaves, and I love Halloween and Thanksgiving, but a lot of the fall is also really sad because I feel like a lot of people I have known, and my dad as well, they passed away in the fall. For me, it's kind of a season of death, just watching all the leaves die. Remember this important part down here. This is the hiddenness. Things are happening underground. In fall, things are decomposing, especially the fruit that's fallen to the ground. And the decomposition activity is really quite amazing. There's a lot of things that are happening in it. Very active, not at all dead. This decomposition is really vital to enriching the soil. Fall is definitely a very important time. Let's highlight our little leaf pile here. I'll stick a rake in it, just because. That's a rake there. See those little claws. There it goes, it's just stuck in there. We'll highlight my little pumpkins by that one. There we go, there's some fall. Now winter is the season that I'm in right now. It's kind of hard to draw. I think that's because white is, well, it's hard to draw on a white piece of paper. So I'll emphasize the white on the ground by drawing more blue on top. We'll go back with a pencil later here. I think the ground in the winter is probably less activity, but more focused on preserving. You know, like the bulbs there underneath, they're pretty much in hibernation. The act of frozenness is actually an act of preservation. for this spring to come. That all the vital parts of its life will be protected, so that it will be ready when conditions are favorable to bloom. I think that's a really good metaphor for the purpose of winter in my life right now. It's kind of preserving for what is to come, a season of rest. Let's see if we can highlight the snow by drawing a line here. There you go. Snow's kind of lumpy. I like to draw little sparkles. There's some beauty in winter. I really do like it. Like how everything's fresh. Let's draw. We didn't save any white space for it, but let's draw a little snowman. He needs to be there. He's a little happy of winter. There's a carrot nose and some buttons. There's some bare branches. Just like in winter, there's usually really no leaves. A pile of snowballs. There's some fun in winter as well. I do like that. So there we go. There's our full seasons. So as you painted, maybe you got more excited about one season that you really love. Maybe you identified with one of the seasons. I know I've been talking about identifying with winter. Maybe you felt some fall in you. Maybe you felt some summer, busyness and activity. Maybe you felt some spring. Whatever season that you identified with most, we're going to explore that more in our final piece. This is a sketch preparation, so go ahead and set it aside. Next, we're going to paint out the season that we chose. I have here a blank canvas. You can also use a piece of watercolor paper that's thick, or even a piece of cardboard you want to paint on. I have water, 2 brushes that are more thick, paper towel, and a palette with acrylic paint. So for my winter scene, I chose to have brown, red, blue, and white. So to start, I want to lead us in a little bit of journaling. We're going to journal on the canvas, and then we'll continue by painting over it, manipulating the canvas from there. So think first about your season that you chose. Write it on the top corner. I'm going to write mine. Now you don't have to have good handwriting or focus on how the writing looks or what it says. What you're using here is you're writing as a visual texture. So it's less about what it says, more about how it looks. But put your heart into it, because that's what matters here the most. So I wrote winter up here, and then next you can write I feel. Then somewhere else, I think, I smell, I taste, I touch. All the senses we're just writing randomly on the canvas. Next, you can fill it in with journal pieces. So go ahead and write the answer to these things. Think in terms of metaphors. When I say I smell, if I am in winter, I'm smelling the snow coming. I'm smelling fire on the fireplace. I'm smelling things in the kitchen. Or I'm smelling a little death and decay going on around me. Things like that. So think metaphorically. Take some time to journal, and we'll meet up once you're done. Once you've finished journaling, at least for now, you're going to cover the canvas with a wash. Go ahead and dip your paintbrush into water. With the wet brush, take your paint and just glob it on, covering the words. It might make them bleed a little bit. You might not even see them at the end. That's okay. It's getting a little blue for me, so I'm gonna wash my brush. And pull it in. All my words are covered up. They're all encoded in this painting, aren't they? So remember this template. We're gonna basically create this. And how we started was with a line that shows where the ground is. So let's do that now. In the winter, this will be a line of white because it's snow, and then dark brown or black down here to show the ground. Look, you can see the words coming through. Since the canvas is still wet, this white won't show up too drastically, but once it dries, we can always come back and paint more in. Take my brown, put it down here. I like how the brown is mixing with the other colors. It's not pure brown. That shows to me that it's active still. Even though this is the hidden place, in the dark place, there's stuff still happening down here. Change brushes now. Now we'll paint on this trunk. So I'll start by painting the thick part of the trunk. And then see how it comes down into 4 little roots. And then the branches come up like this. I'm not going to do my branches exactly like this, but similar. While the canvas is still wet, I'm going to add in snowflakes. If you're painting a different season, you can add in falling leaves down here. You can add in little sparkles if it's summer, maybe make it more exciting. You could add in just flowers in the distance or seeds like dandelion seeds floating around. Try out different things. What's in the air? I bet there's something active there too. Even though we can't see air, it's also very much alive. And because this is the winter scene, I'm going to add my little snowman here. It's just sitting there contemplating life. I can only see him really faintly right now, but I'll come back later when the paint's dry and finish him up. Alright, I'll let it dry. If there's anything else you want to add, go ahead and do it. But for me, I think I'm done. Alright, so our piece is now dried. You can see the things pretty faintly now, and I also scratched some paint off, so we'll work on that. You can see the writing came through a little bit more, which is pretty exciting actually. So I'm going to take a skinny brush and now fill in more of the details. I have my brown paint. just thinning it out a little bit with water, just make it more fluid. Now, I like to just kind of freehand here. I remember this circle that I really liked on the fall piece. You know, in fall, some animals, you know, they live in the trees, in that oak tree in the little hollow. I'm going to paint out the lines that I like a lot. Just thinning my acrylic so it's not as harsh. Painting out the branches that I want to emphasize. And I'm doing it in just kind of an overlapping line pattern so it looks like the tree is has bark. You can just paint your tree solid brown if you'd like. Remember, this tree is yours, not mine, so it should look different. If your tree is in the spring, you might consider doing a light brown instead of a dark brown like I'm doing. But either way, all trees should be recognized for their roots, you know? So as you go down here, see if you can develop a root system that you really like the lines of. The most important step happens down here. Pretty cool. So let's wash our brush and pause here. I want you to continue journaling and think about the root cause of your winter. What's going on? For me, it's really just sadness and wondering if there will ever be joy again in life. Just because I'm going through a hard time right now. So go ahead and write a journal about what's at the roots of your season. Why are you feeling summer? Why are you feeling spring? Why are you feeling fall? Why are you feeling winter? You can start by writing out that question. Use the words as kind of, you know, lines and shapes down here. You can twist them around the roots. You can write through the roots. You can write just one word at the base of each root. Whatever it is you want to do. Go ahead and talk about what is at the root of your season. Once that's done, if you want to obscure the writing a little bit, just like we did here, so it's more in the texture, go ahead and do that by dipping your brush in the water and then putting some of your paint on, watered down paint. I'll add a little blue to my brown, just because that's the type of painting it is. And I'll just kind of cover over a little bit. Make it messy. Oops, yeah, pulled in some white that's not even dry yet. That's okay, that looks cool. If it gets a little too dark, you can just take your paper towel and press, or wipe the paint away. If you lost a line that you'd like to keep, you can just add it right back in. You know the loss. You know the root of your season right now. Nobody else needs to know. It's hidden, remember? But what will come out of these roots is new growth in the coming spring. Let's finish up our branches. Now take a second once the branches are done to write the good things about your season. I'm sure you recognize some beauty about your season. Write those things on the branches as if they were the fruit of what you're feeling. In winter, I love that there's peace. I love that there's silence. I love that there's rest. I love that there's remembrance. Ooh, that was a big word. It came right back in there. I love that there's closeness. I love that there's inside. It's often very warm inside. I love that family time. And I love how the white of snow just covers the world, making everything simple. All right, simplicity. The beauty about winter is the birth of hope. You know, it's small, but it's still there. And if you're like me, painting winter, there's no leaves or flowers or fruit to paint, but there is snow. So when you think of snow, it's coming down vertically, right? So where will it land? If it's coming down, it will land here. So I'll do little dabs. Land here. Maybe it falls off a little bit onto the lower branch. It'll fall here. The snow that comes down here will hit, it'll hit right there. It'll hit there. There. Oh, it'll hit this little branch there. You see that? So you gotta imagine where's the snow column coming. It's falling down here. And it'll hit here. Here. Probably a little at the end. Snow falling down here will just hit here and kind of just dribble down a little bit. Then it'll freeze. It might hit here. There's a little concave part that will catch the snow. Probably hit at the top of the circle where the animals live. Coming down, it'll hit here. Coming down, it'll hit here. Here. There's a branch there. You see how imagining helps us understand what happens in our world. Snow is so beautiful. I'll add some more snow around just because it's beautiful. It's still falling. And snow coming down will probably get a little bit of the roots. You know, the stuff that's above ground. Looks right. Remember this snowman? He's pretty faint right now. Let's make him a little bit more alive. Give him a top hat, like all proper snowmen should have. And little buttons. If you're painting spring or summer or fall, there's still leaves to paint. So I recommend painting them by just dabbing your brush like we did for the snowflakes. So you'll cover going like this in all the branches. and fill in the in-between till it's all full. Since my picture is all about winter, I'm just doing bare branches. I'll fill in this little hole here with black. So it's a hole for animals to live in, remember that. Give some detail on this one. There we have it, there's our picture. If you're pleased with it, go ahead and just leave it. If not, just keep adding to it until you're satisfied. Make sure you sign. You know by now that's the most important part because it tells us it's yours.
If you found some new insight or inspiration, make sure to hit the subscribe button and like this video. That lets me know that you want to see more videos just like this one. I'm a certified therapeutic art life coach, as well as an artist, art teacher, art minister, and creative mama.
Jeez.
You can check out my artwork and learn more about my coaching and other projects at danicatheartist.com. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.